So when I'm working with people, they say, well, I gesture all the time, and I like to make gestures, and I don't see why making gestures is a problem. From my perspective, what I just did aren't gestures, they're simply movements. What we're going to do is we're going to juxtapose movement and gestures. To learn about gestures, I'd like to bring up the name of a person, Virginia Satir. Virginia Satir did some very interesting work, and she discovered something called archetypal gestures. An archetypal gesture is a gesture that, if you're speaking Hindi to somebody who speaks French, and you do the gesture to them, and they don't understand your language, they'll still get the power of the message through the gesture and not the language itself. She came up with 5 gestures. 3 are symmetric, 2 of them are asymmetric. And I want to talk about them now individually because these are the grandparents of all the gestures we could make. The first gesture is called the leveler. The leveler is done with your hands parallel together and moving out to the side as if they're on a table or an ironing board. And when you get to this invisible edge, you slowly drop your hands. And what the leveler says is, I'm in charge, this is the way it's going to be, let me level with you, it's my way or highway. Now it's a very strong gesture. So for example, if somebody says, hey Robbie, how about turning in the project proposal next Thursday? I could respond by saying, talk to the team in New York, has to be in by Monday. So to get the leveler right, there's a couple finesse pieces that are important. Sometimes I see people going out too far, so it looks like they're doing exercises, which is lovely, though not necessary in your presentation. And then the other thing I see is people say, we have to get the presentation done, and it has to get done by Monday. And the problem is, you shouldn't come back with the leveler to the center. So the leveler is a one-time out and over to the side. So I need it by 5 o'clock, thank you, and you drop. Once you have the leveler down, the very interesting thing is you could use the leveler to go into what I call mix and match gestures, and you pull a leveler gesture from the side like this, and you do what I call parallel firm hands. With your fingers together, you're showing people you can hold on to money, projects, and ideas and carry them out. With fingers open, what you're saying is everything flows between my fingers and I can't hold on to any of that. So my invitation is, if you know the leveler, bring it up to its side, and you're showing people that you have a firm set of ideas. The second gesture is called the placator. And as the leveler is palms down, the placator is palms up. And the placator, what it's saying is, I'm just a really nice guy. Look, no weapons. So the placator does not have the same strength that the leveler has. And one of the coaching areas I give a lot of people is they look at teams and say, we need to get this project to New York by 5 o'clock on Monday, otherwise we're going to be in trouble. And what they're vehicling, telegraphing to the audience is, you don't really have to take me seriously. I just need your help here. And one of the problems with the placator is that it signals maybe a weaker position for you than the leveler would. The third gesture I'd like to talk about, the third symmetric gesture, is something called the blamer. And the blamer is something you see politicians do quite a bit. It's very forceful because it says it's all about you. Now the downside to the blamer is it could put people in a position where they feel quite vulnerable and taken aback. My suggestion when using the blamer is to use it only in the positive. So it could sound like this. So when you do stance and when you stand neutral in front of the audience, you're going to find that your presentations get much better across the board. The fourth gesture, let's see, what can I say about the fourth gesture? Not quite sure how to put it. Oh, the fourth gesture is called the computer. And what the computer does is it signals to an audience that you're actually giving logical, rational thought to something. A great time to use the computer is when you get a question, when somebody says, so Robbie, where's the place people are most successful implementing this? And you don't know, you could go, yes, well, I think they're most successful in using this in such circumstances. And another great place to use the computer is if you're doing the Q&A session. And you could say, all right, so that was the presentation. What questions might you have? And you can do your 5-10 minutes of questions. And after that, you could say, I see it's now 5:25. We've run out of time. So let me hand over to Betty, who's going to talk to you about the implementation plan. So once again, the computer, you pull your hand out like this, either one. Some people like this side, some people like this side. You rest one hand here, and then you apply your hand to your chin without covering up your face. And this is a way to show people that you're actually smarter and more rational and logical. The fifth gesture is something called the distractor. And the thing about the distractor is, well, it kind of breaks the mood and it could show you're having a bit of fun. And the problem with the distractor, and I bring problems up first, is because it probably shows that you're not as solid on your own 2 feet as you'd like to be, and people might not take you as serious. And so doing anything asymmetric in front of an audience, like putting your foot like this or pulling to one side, will simply show people that, you know, I'm not so convinced that he or she is firm on their message. Here's an effective use of satir category gestures, putting all 5 gestures together. So, hey, thanks for coming, guys. Don't know if you heard that we got the news back from New York that we actually need to get the proposal to Shanghai by 5 o'clock on Monday. So I want everybody to come to my office tonight, and we're going to work on this thing. We're going to get it done by midnight. I'm going to get pizza. We're going to get taxis. I need all the help we can get. And, you know, hey, we might have some fun doing it, so I'm looking forward to everybody being there. That was a successful use of using the 5 satir category gestures. What if you were to see this from your boss? Guys, I just heard from New York, and we're going to need to get the proposal to Shanghai by tomorrow, and we didn't get the extension. So could you guys kind of be in my office at 5 o'clock, and we'll do pizza and taxis, and we'll get you out by midnight, okay? Effective use of satir category gestures actually drives compliance, adhesion, and you're more likely to show up as a leader than if you're using too much Placator and too much Distractor in round 2. The next consideration with gestures is if you ask somebody to make a gesture and say, okay, point to your past, present, and future. Well, most people having a timeline will go, well, that's my past, that's my present, and that's my future. Except for you watching this video, you're probably thinking to yourself, hey, wait a sec, that's backwards. And it is. So when you make gestures, you need to remember that you're not making for yourself, you're making for your audience. So you need to have the gestures what I call mirror image opposite. So while you think past, present, and future is here, your audience sees it past, present, future this way. So if you're using the concept of firm hands, you could say, all right, folks, so let's look at what the old software was we used 5 years ago. Let's now look at what the new software is that we're moving into, and then let's look into the future, what the implementation plan is going to be. So please remember that your gestures go this way. There's a caveat to that. There are countries that write from this side to that side or this side to that side. And where that's the case, or you have a mixed audience, my encouragement is that the best thing to do is go from top to bottom because everybody understands that. Or you could go from back to front. So you could say, here's what we're doing in the past, here's what we're doing right now with the software, and here's where we're going with it in the future. So you got past, present, future. The next important consideration is if you ask somebody, show the word increase or show the word decrease. Now we all have in our mind XY axis, correct? Most people would say, well, we need to increase that and we need to decrease this. Again, the problem is you're not doing it for yourself, you're doing it for your audience. So keep in mind the XY axis, and my suggestion is create a home base. So if you talk to an audience and you say, we need to increase our marketing efforts and we then need to decrease a lot of the expenditures we have. Together with a firm and neutral body stance where you're standing straight and tall, looking out at your audience, and the 5 satir category gestures, you have 2 important building blocks to being a great presenter.